Today I share the ultimate summary with you, the key lessons from airports, malls, factories, universities and ministries worldwide.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast to the protection against heavy rain and flooding by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
So the big challenge is, how can house owners like you and me get a flood-free home? How can business managers like you and me get a flood-free company? And how can public servants provide flood-free critical infrastructure and livable cities?
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe. This podcast is for foresighted and proactive people who do not want to shovel the muddy water out of their room while standing in the midst of the disaster.
Therefore, those who design and plan, the architects and engineers, need to construct such buildings and cities, and that even when the entire environment is completely flooded. That is a challenge, and this podcast will give the answers.
Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe.
Hello and welcome again. So I'm very glad to welcome you today to the special part 8 of the mini-series Why Choose the German RS Demountable Flood Barrier. My name is Andreas Klippe, German engineer, entrepreneur and book author, and over the last 7 episodes we've traveled the world together. From busy airports to sprawling shopping malls, from high-tech factories to prestigious universities and even to government buildings, where a flood could have stopped national operations in their tracks. Each story was different countries, different climates, different building types, but they all had one thing in common: the risk of devastating floods and the need for a solution that would actually work when it mattered. So we started by talking about German engineering, why building something to last for 100 years matters when you are protecting your business or your community from climate change, or your private house as well. Then we explored certified safety, FM ANSI Class 2510 standards. You remember, FM Global, the world's biggest insurance company for commercial and industrial buildings, based in the USA, with a 72-hour water pressure test, including kinetic energy impacts, and why those certificates are more than just paper. From there, we went into the technical heart of the system, strengths without the digging, why no trench installations eliminates hazards, avoids maintenance nightmares, and still delivers serious holding power. Remember, I mentioned the risk of breeding nests for mosquitoes in the Southeast Asian or East Asian countries, and the dirt inside the trenches, the dirt, sand, for instance, most of the time it's sand in the Middle East countries, and anti-theft, and these were the strengths without the digging, and then anti-theft and fast setup. That is, because in many real flood situations you only get minutes to act, so it must be very quickly set up, and you should have an installation that is made, that is not easy to steal and to manipulate or to sabotage at the end of the day. And it should be lightweight yet strong, showing how even one trained person can protect an entire entrance on short notice. I gave this example of the grandmother in her best years who was able to insert the flood barriers in front of the main door, because she said, I don't feel comfortable when my son and her wife are absent and I'm alone with my older sister and the grandson who is not old enough yet. How can I install it? Now I feel safe. I sleep very well. I'm not worrying anymore because I rely on neighbors or friends who are not around. And in the meantime, perhaps I might get flooded. So it's lightweight, but really strong because it was also tested. I mentioned the FM ANSI standards, class 2510 and the 72-hour water pressure test. So all these things come together. And finally, we saw the RS flood barriers are trusted worldwide in 37 countries with more than 68,000 installations, proving their reliability in every kind of climate and terrain. The truth is, every one of these benefits works together. You don't just get German quality without testing. You don't just get lightweight without strength. You don't get a strong anchor. Remember the friction welding anchor plates, what we are using. You don't just get a strong anchor without the flexibility to deploy quickly. The RS system is a complete package, built, tested and trusted to protect what matters most since 1990. And the best of flood protection, and here comes my golden nugget. The best flood protection isn't just about keeping water out. It's about keeping life and business going. No shutdowns, no lost customers for business managers, no costly repairs. That's the difference a proven global solution can make. I'm Andreas Klippe, German engineer. If this series has opened your eyes to what real flood protection looks like, please connect with me. You'll find the links below this podcast. Let's talk about how we can protect your facility before the first flood hits. If you are listening to this podcast from the US, from Australia, from the UK, from mainland Europe, from Africa, from Asia, just contact me. I would be very glad to connect you with my business partners who are responsible for the Americas or for Europe or for Australia. Me personally, my business territory is Asia, from the Middle East to the Far East. And I would be very glad to help you. Add podcast in your message so I know you're part of our community. That wraps up our mini-series, Why Choose the German RS Demountable Flood Barriers, Part 1 to Part 8. This is Part 8. And whether you are facing seasonal floods, storm surges, or the unpredictable extremes of climate change, remember, the first flood is always too late. Protect now. Stay safe and flood-free. I wish and hope for you that you make the right decisions when it comes to your personal flood protection. And if you enjoyed this episode, please subscribe to this podcast channel if you haven't already. Now it only remains for me to wish you a good day. Do something with it. Maybe until the next podcast episode. I would be very happy. See you then. As always, stay safe and flood free. Your Andreas Klippe and the whole Flood Experts team.
That's it again with the new episode of Flood Protection Secrets, the podcast by Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe, German engineer, book author, and head of the Flood Experts. What can Dr. Flood, Andreas Klippe protect for you? Anytime? Worldwide? Contact us or just click through to www.floodexperts.de/bonus. Detailed engineering, German quality, safe, flood protection secrets, the secrets you'll want to unfold.
Don't forget, you're only one flood barrier away.
Subscribe to the season, and you'll never be late for an episode.